Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to muzzlightyear. Today, we're going to be talking about why your job and any job is what's stopping you from becoming wealthy. Now, I've used this picture here from the movie Office Space. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. It's absolutely hilarious, and it just shows you the mundane aspects of having a job. Because I want to talk about the differences between being rich and being wealthy. Now, a job can make you rich. You can make a lot of money from a job, but you'll never be truly wealthy. Being rich means to have a lot of money coming in, through a regular salary. But being wealthy means having assets which bring you money without even your involvement. And we should always be striving towards being wealthy rather than being rich, because one involves your time and the other doesn't. Okay? So I want to bring up this screen to give you examples of different assets, but let me explain a little bit further. So your time is limited, and you and everyone else only has 24 hours in the day. This means that if the money coming into your life is tied to the hours that you work, then it'll never be able to scale, right? The only way true wealth is built is if you're able to make money even when you're not working. And this means having assets, because assets are what put money in your pocket. Now, what we want are assets that appreciate in value. So on the left-hand side, you see something like cash, putting money in a bank account. These aren't gonna really increase in value. If anything, they're decreasing in value due to inflation. So what you wanna be looking at is investing in things like stocks, in property, in starting a business and owning the equity in it. And of course, investing in crypto. Because when you have these assets, then even when you're sleeping, they're working for you. Now, some assets require more management than others. For example, if you have a property portfolio, it may be something you have to personally manage yourself if you don't outsource it. But there are some things that can be more hands-off. For example, just dollar cost averaging into index funds, or dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, the problem is that we all have to start somewhere, right? It's not as if you can just go straight into having assets. And you have to go somewhere to learn skills and make money, and that usually means a job with a salary, okay? But the thing is, a regular salary can become something you're very comfortable with, and then you get used to it, and then you become reliant upon it. There is a certain addictiveness that comes with having a salary. It's a funny saying that goes around that a regular paycheck is as addictive as crack cocaine. So what we need to be doing at the beginning is to, yes, have a job, have a salary, so that we can use that money to buy assets, and then we use the income from those assets when they appreciate in value to then buy more assets. Okay? Because the problem is that when you only have a salary, working too long for other people, it can blunt your ability to take risks. And this is important because the ability to live with and embrace risk is what sets apart the financial winners and losers in the world. If you want to be truly wealthy, they're not looking for a career, except as a launch pad or as a chance to understand a particular industry. Because a job for people who want to be wealthy in the future is merely something to help them keep ticking over, to put food on their plate and a roof over their heads. But of course, this is easier said than done. Ideally, we want to have no long-term requirements of the first 2 or 3 companies that we work for. Promotions are obviously very welcome, and it gives you the opportunity to learn more and to earn more. And we're there to ensure basically that we take as much knowledge as we can out of these jobs, these first few jobs that we have. And we don't get too bogged down in this idea of team spirit. Team spirit, financially speaking, is for losers. It's the glue that binds them together. It's what employers use to shackle useful employees to their desk without having to pay them too much. And then they use phrases like, we're a family here. Because when it comes right down to it, team spirit and, not letting your employees down is a way to hold you back. Okay? For example, if one of your team members, that you worked with who said those things ended up inheriting or, winning the lottery, whatever, $10 million, do you think they'd still be talking about team spirit and checking in, making sure morale is up? Of course not. Neither would anyone, right? Ourselves included. So a note on caution, because a lot of times people who will never be wealthy probably don't want you to be wealthy either. There's a saying that misery loves company. And sometimes you have to accept that you're not going to be, one of the boys or one of the group or whatever, and that you're not actually all in this together. Because all you're going to get is a regular salary, and when things don't go well, they're going to be looking at you. So, what do we want to do instead? All right. Now, there's a well-known book, you may have heard of it, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So this framework is something that I came across a few years ago that I thought was very helpful. And you can see the steps through the arrows of what we're taking. So first you start as an employee. You have a job. And you use that job to make money and hopefully build some assets at the same time by investing your income, keeping your expenses low. The problem with being an employee is that you're never going to be able to truly scale to be wealthy. Plus you have to pay a lot of taxes. Okay, there's a price that comes with having the security of a regular paycheck. You end up paying the most taxes. Okay, and then you may be thinking to yourself, okay, I want to move towards being self-employed. But the thing is, if you're self-employed and you're still exchanging your time for money, then you've moved to a different kind of job where instead of someone giving you a job, you've given yourself a job. And the problem with being self-employed in that sense is that you're not able to scale. If you are a freelancer or if you're a consultant or, if you're a coach of some kind, then you're still tying the amount of money you make to the amount of hours that you put in, and the risk is high still, higher than it would be if you're an employee, for example. So then we move to the next type, which is a business owner. Now, this is different from self-employed because a business owner is developing something that can work without them. It's having an e-commerce store, for example, so that you can make sales at night. You don't have to be open to have a shop, a physical store. It's building some intellectual property of your own, like writing a book or developing a YouTube channel where things can happen after you've initially made the work. It's building a tech company because software just scales. Once you've built it once, then everyone can use it. And business owners are rewarded for creating businesses. Every country in the world, every economy wants more businesses, which is why they pay less taxes than the employees. Have you ever heard, those stories about Elon Musk or Warren Buffett paying less tax than their employees? These are billionaires. Why is that? Because they don't actually have an income. They just own assets, okay? And they hold on to those assets. And if they pay capital gains tax on those assets, it's a lot less than income tax, all right? They are being rewarded for creating jobs for other people, and they're incentivized with lower taxes. Now, the last step, which is what we all want to be at, is to become an investor. And this is a point where you have so much money that you're able to put it all into assets. And those assets are giving you back so much money that you don't actually have to work. You don't have to have a job. You don't even have to have a business if you don't want to. This is having a property portfolio where people are paying their rent money to you. This is having stocks or crypto where you're able to take profits, and the profits that you make are able to sustain your lifestyle, and you're still able to keep some invested so that it can make more money for you in the future, right? That's where we want to be at. And the taxes for those people are the least as well, capital gains tax. There's another image which kind of just goes into exactly what I just mentioned and how it works. There's more leverage with money. You can do more with it than you can ever do with your time. And that's the problem with having a job. is that you can't scale in the same way that you would want to. So what we need to do is to work towards being an employee who takes that money, we go here, and uses it to buy assets, okay? And then we take those assets and keep investing into more assets, so that we can hopefully either get to a self-employed stage, a business owner, or an investor. And if we go back to this one, this is the trajectory that we want to follow along, okay? So if you thought this was helpful, if you thought these frameworks were good, then please keep them in mind. Perhaps take a screenshot, print them out, something as a reminder. If you thought this was helpful, please like the video. I'm going to be releasing more videos like this to help educate and provide some more wisdom when it comes to getting that financial independence and freedom that you want in your life. So if you want to see more of those kinds of videos, then do subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.